this out still. Hi, my name is William Michael Forbes.
Hi, I'm Norma Jones.
And we're bringing through a live stream of the beings that call themselves the Seers. And today's discussion is on how we overcome our fears to be here and to hear. That means there's a lot of people who are afraid to hear these multidimensional beings that are really trying to guide us and assist us and lead us forward in our lives. And they wanted to address that. They want to bring this forward today. How do you overcome your fear to hear these multidimensional beings? But also, how do you overcome your fear to be here, to actually be here?
Of being here, exactly. So these multidimensional beings that we're referencing, in truth, are not really any different from who we are. We are having this earthly experience, but it is just an experience. What we truly are internal beings. And did I say internal?
Internal beings, totally internal. Remember, we are creating. They're saying we create our lives from the inside out, not from the outside in. And this is the error that humanity's been stuck in for many, many, many thousands and thousands of years. The belief that out there is what's making our life, when in reality, our life from in here is making what's out there.
Exactly. So how we formulate our thoughts and how we feel, most importantly, which create our thoughts, create our reality. And it's not the reality outside there that is affecting us. If we choose to believe that, then we are affected by that happens outside of us. And therefore we take that on as our reality and we feel the effect of it. So then we recreate that.
And that recreated effect becomes a feedback loop, so we maintain a fixed experience of what we call reality, when in truth, we are unlimited beings capable of creating unlimited experiences in this physical time-space dimension. So I guess we can start bringing them through, and whatever comes up. So these beings, they came to us first this morning. They came to me 3 days ago, but they came to us together this morning while we were out grounding. In a park we go to that we ground. And just for those of you who might be new to this, grounding is your ability to tap into the energies of the earth, to rebalance, recalibrate your physical body to be back in harmonic resonance with the planet. And so we're out grounding, and I'm not sure how it started, but anyway, they just started talking away. So we'll bring them back in again and see where we go with this.
And it's also in being in resonance with who and what you are. When you release the mind and allow the sounds of nature and allow the sounds of all things to be your moment, your present, that is in essence what you are. So when you allow that in from that place of unlimitedness, you can bring forth your desire in this life, which is whatever it is, but assuming so it is of a nature that is positive and that will feed forward to others as well as yourself. It is from that place that you can allow that.
Okay, so they're coming in right now. They're coming straight down into my crown chakra, down into my body, and they're sending themselves here and in here. So they're utilizing the energy here and the energy here. And the words they're first saying is, greetings, we are here to extend yourself beyond yourself. Through this one, we hope to encourage you to examine and release any fundamental ideas that you have that restrict you from expanding your experience of this physical dimension beyond what you call your life. When we say your life, we are not meaning your beingness. We are referring to this individualized experience that you call your physical self. That this physical self that you exist in is merely a node, a conduit through which you can express unlimited potential into this dimension. Now, in order to do that, it's important that you be able to hear while you're in that physical form that you find yourself sitting in. That body that you are in right now has these senses that allows you to appraise and identify what is occurring around you but simultaneously you have these internal senses that allow you to access a different realm of consciousness, a different level of your beingness that is not restricted by the encumbrances of your senses. That this aspect of your being can transcend these limited senses and express something greater. You need to learn to release ideas and conceptions to hearing these greater truths that you actually are constantly trying to pass on to yourself, and from which many others are trying to pass this truth on to you. You ask for guidance, you ask for help to release yourself from pain, from suffering, from poverty, from these things that you label as fixed structures of your experience. But none of these things are fixed. In fact, these are very, very narrow perceptions of what you truly are. And when you're able to begin to release your attachment to the idea that there is something wrong, that there is something missing, that there is something not working in your life, you begin to expand yourself into this material experience in a brand new and exciting way. It is important that you understand that we are always communicating with all, and we stress this, that there are no aspects of consciousness that are separate from any other aspects of consciousness, except by, we'll call them doorways of perception that will be open or closed. Comparatively speaking, if the door is wide open, then you have very few limits in terms of what you can express or be. If the door is somewhat closed, you start to restrict what you can experience, what you can allow, what you can unfold into this world, and what you can receive into your own mechanism. So the question would become, what is it you would like to change in your life that is not fulfilling or satisfying to you? This is the biggest question that most people pose to themselves, but from which they get very few answers, because you're asking an aspect of your being that does not contain the answers. But if you open your consciousness up, you can hear and experience different information than what you think you know. They're saying that you have to let it go. You have to let that which you believe to be limiting or restricting to go. That you need to release your conceptions of limitation and engage your unlimited self. Some of the things I'm trying to access some of the data they were saying earlier.
So how does one release their limited self in order to know their unlimited self?
Well, there are several steps to this process. The most immediate one is when you breathe, you immediately release yourself from a conception of being limited to the body. For to intentionally breathe the body is to assert your dominion over it, and thereby releasing yourself from its confines immediately. The next step in that process would be to remove thoughts in your mind from your perception, so that you're not thinking a limited idea, a limited thought, that you are not thinking about being poor or being tall or being short or being overweight or underweight or being hungry or being poor or being sick or diseased or a healthy environment. You remove all those conceptions of what you determine yourself to be. And in releasing those and deliberately releasing the thought or idea of poor, you expand your awareness beyond that idea. The very moment you release yourself, let go of the thought and the feeling connected to the thought around the idea you wish to change, you release yourself in degree from it.
So we are, as humans, very trapped in this repetitive thought process that keeps us bound into our limited perspective. So what would be the key tools or techniques that humans can use to elevate themselves?
Well, the most immediate thing is to recognize that the thoughts that you're thinking in your mind and what you call yourself is not yourself, but these are ideas, conceptions that you've acquired through the physical medium of experience exclusively. The information that you are struggling with is what you have acquired only through these five senses. The information that would liberate you is beyond those senses. It is in learning to listen and hear beyond that which you know, being able to step outside the confines of the ideas and beliefs that you are stuck upon.
Mm-hmm. So through meditation, would this aid us to release those thoughts and aid us to be able to hear?
If meditation, you mean that one is able to release themselves from ideas and therefore be in a state of expanded consciousness, then yes, we would say that meditation is in fact one of those tools that you could utilize at any time, as you can with the breath. For the breath, when you take a breath, and we encourage you to do this, breathe in, immediately releases your physical structure from what you call tension. And that release from tension actually liberates you from the very tension that you are seeking relief from. And in that moment that you're relieved from that, you are free from that which you were imprisoned by formerly.
Very good. So, is there a mantra or something that can be said that when one walks through their daily life or wakes up in the morning, that they could create a new patterned thought that will release them from their limited self and bring them closer to their unlimited self?
Yes, of course. The recognition of the limitation is the first step in liberating yourself from that very limitation. The recognition that you are poor is the limitation you wish to liberate yourself from. And so then the feelings that are connected to that idea that you're imprisoned by, the minute you allow yourself to let that feeling go, and you can literally let these feelings go with a breath. You can literally release that feeling with the breath. And the minute you deliberately and intentionally do so, you're not just performing an act of your physical body changing, you're performing an actual act of releasing an energetic particle, an energetic structure from your physical being, from your mental being, and from your, we'll say, your being energy, your soul energy, that will free that aspect up to express beyond that belief which it has just released.
Very good. So one can say that one is walking down the street and then has a thought that is of a nature that is not positive, that makes them feel upset, sad, angry, whatever, and they can identify what it is that's bothering them, and then take that and say, I choose not to feel this, I choose not to feel angry, I choose to release that, and breathe in, and I choose to release this anger here and now.
Yes, this is the absolute simplest way that this process can effectively work. And when one chooses to consciously utilize this process to intentionally and deliberately identify feelings that do not serve or support the expression of your conditions in this world, a good example would be you get a bill in the mail and you are frustrated by your bill in the mail. Well, that feeling of frustration and the bill aren't related. They're there because they feed each other. They're connected. And the minute you feel that frustration and you breathe and you release it, you deliberately release the frustration. Say, I decide no longer to allow this in my system. I release this. You will literally release it. And after repeated exposures, that energy that's attached to that diminishes and is gone. Then you may just make a decision, what is it you would choose to feel? What would feeling having be like? What would be having like? How would that feel to be a check as opposed to a bill? How would it feel to have the opposite of what you used to having? And the minute you start to conceptualize from the release of the old and conceptualize the new, you begin to deliberately and intentionally manifest the physical reality of the new idea.
So I'm going to go back to the limitation of beings, in that how one can get caught up in, no, this is my reality and I'm stuck in this reality, and it's a belief system. So how do we shift out of it not just being words where, oh, I'm happy I got this bill, and or I'm releasing myself, but they really have a belief system that that's the way it is? How do they shift out of it? By just repetitiveness and then eventually it will present itself as what they want. Having faith, what is it that one, what would you recommend?
First, one is never going to be happy getting a bill, but what one can do when the bill comes is to release their feelings of unhappiness and substitute that feeling for a state of having. The actual emotional qualities that you engage yourself in on a moment-to-moment basis are the very emotional elements that maintain the physical conditions and circumstances that you're seeking freedom from or liberation to. The choice is a matter of what feeling state you wish to engage when you go from releasing the concept. The emotion and the concept always match. What you are experiencing at any given moment exactly matches what you hold on to internally, emotionally. What you have not released is what you have in your experience. And that may be the experience of being a multimillionaire or a very successful individual or an alcoholic or a drug addict. The ideas of these things are bound very intimately by the emotional qualities that they're ground into. When you release or alter the emotional qualities to either, the emotional expression and the physical experience change to match.
So what we're talking about is essentially whatever it is that one feels, one creates. So we manifest our lives. Anything that we are experiencing, we are creating that by our own feelings. So for those who don't know that to be a reality because they're not conscious of it, is there simple exercises that they could do, simple, that will say, okay, I'm going to feel a certain way, I'm going to feel a certain way to attract something, to make or even set forth an intention to attract something, so they could have evidence that will lead them down that path?
If you are operating from the perspective of trying to get rid of an unwanted feeling, then you are focusing on the unwanted feeling. The goal is to conceptually understand what would it feel like if I felt something different. If I did not feel this pain, how would I feel? The very nature of a question, how would I feel if I did not have this feeling? How would I feel if I did not have it? Moves the awareness away from that which it's ingrained in into that which it wishes to embrace. And so there is a process for most people. Someone who is unconscious or in pain and makes a decision, I no longer wish to feel this pain, what would I like to feel? Well, I would like to feel joy. I'd like to feel free. I'd like to feel happy. I'd like to feel wealthy. And the minute the individual begins to focus on that which they wish to feel, the emotional energies begin to come into play at that moment.
Yes. And the very nature of focusing on that they don't want, which is the opposite of what you just said, just brings more of that they don't want.
That is correct. So again, when your intention is to release your attachment to that which you don't want, and you're now asking, what is it I want to experience that is not this? You will automatically begin to move, your conscious awareness begins to create that which you focus upon. Mm-hmm. In this case, you're focusing on what would I feel wealthy? What would I feel joy? What would I feel healthy? The minute you do this, then the whole physical mechanism, the whole mental mechanism begins to realign itself energetically to the manifestation of that new feeling state.
Yes.
And this is the simplicity. This is very simple. Mm-hmm. Learning how to just change the feeling. Mm-hmm. There is so much complexity around something that's so very simple. The choice to have a thought, the choice to decide to feel a certain way, is the very epitome of the entire creative process of what you call your experience. Mm-hmm. And your willingness, your conscious willingness to surrender what no longer serves you and embrace that which you know would serve you. You know you'd be happier with more money. And how would that feel? And it is always the feeling that precipitates the event. Always the feeling precipitates the event. And when you understand this principle, then you would decide, how would it feel? You get to choose. You are a creator being. You are a created intelligence with a creating intelligence. And therefore, you have the opportunity at any time to say, I'm going to create happiness. Even if I don't see evidence, I'm going to focus on how would I feel if I were happy. And the very nature of that creative aspect manifests the conditions. Incrementally, or quite suddenly, because many people have experienced what you call miracles, which are merely an awareness shift from a state of that which is not a miracle to a state of feeling that says this is where it is, and the change is instantaneous.
Mm-hmm. So that there is the great divide, the divide of knowing within oneself that you are a creative being and that what you think and feel creates your reality, versus feeling that outside of you, which is done onto you, is your existence, and allowing that to affect how you feel, and then you're just going in a circular motion, or yes, of many this lifetime and other lifetimes.
If you choose to stay attached to a certain process, to certain thought forms, it will be very circular, and it seems to go on and on and on and on. But the same thing is true for the reverse. Your on and on can be miserable, but your on and on can be filled with joy.
That's right.
Whatever dominant emotional energy state you hold on to, that is the conditions you're manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you seek to find resolution to challenges and difficulties that you are facing, then you turn to something else. You may turn to us. You may turn to your mother, to your father, to your friends, to try and find a solution outside of your condition in order to try and change the circumstance in which you find yourself. But oftentimes that does not work, because the solution must reside within you from the perspective of an emotional state. You can hear information, but if you keep going to the same people with the same problem, and you still have the same problem going to the same people, you're never going to solve the problem, because the problem and the people that you're going to see about the problem are connected. But when you start to seek outside of what you know, when you start to ask, how can I change these circumstances and situations in my life? And you truly listen to what comes inside you, for we are all around you. Infinite intelligence is everywhere. It does not lack itself at any point in time and space. So it becomes very, very important then for you to learn to listen, not just with these ears here to hear the noises around you, but to hear the wisdom within you when you ask a question. How may I change this? And it may be something simple. To the alcoholic, how can I stop this? And a little voice says in his head or her head, stop drinking. And the solution is very simple. But I don't want to stop drinking, so I ignore the solution. And the solution never gets implemented. But the answers to your questions and your concerns always come instantaneously if you're willing to listen and then enact them. For it's one thing to be given a baseball and a bat to play ball, but it's another thing if you don't know how to throw the ball up in the air and hit it with the bat. You have to know that what you focus on, what you're generating, is going to produce a result. And if you tell yourself, oh, I know I don't need to drink to be free of this, but then you drink, well, you've defeated yourself. You've actually done the exact opposite of what you want. Don't drink and see what happens. But it's so hard to not drink. Well, then it's so hard not to drink. You're creating that truth too. And so you perpetuate the problem by the very nature of ignoring the very solution you seek. If you stop drinking, or stop doing this, or stop screaming, or stop yelling, it will stop. Then the things that cause that will stop. But it's a matter of personal choice. But it's not difficult. You just have to listen.
It is, again, what I say, the great divide, in that human who is drinking is a Band-Aid, is covering up the pain that they're feeling, and they're caught up in that pain, believing that pain to be a reality, because it is, because they believe it, and it's perpetuated in their life. So drinking gives them an escape from that pain, and to not drink, they're immersed in the pain. But the great divide is recognizing that you don't need to engage in your pain. It's about releasing that pain, and it's about knowing that I don't want to feel this pain anymore, and how do I want to feel, and how do I release that? How do I turn away from that? Again, so
yes, you had many mentors say, and the most simplest one, the most notable, is one you called Jesus, who said, "Turn the other cheek." And what was to be understood from that was that you don't turn your cheek from out there. You turn your cheek from the anger, the pain, the guilt, the shame, the things inside yourself that show up in your world, that make your world such a terrible place. Turn your attention away from those things. Turn your cheek from those things and focus on their opposite. Focus on joy, on happiness. When you feel pain and anger come up, don't focus on it, because then you have to find a way to get rid of it, because it hurts. It's very uncomfortable. So then you'll find drinking to try and dull your awareness of the pain, but you know the pain's there. But you know the pain's there because you keep looking at it. Turn your attention away from it. Turn your attention away from it. Turn your cheek away from that and focus on what it is over here. Well, there's joy over here. The opposite of this suffering is joy. The opposite of poverty is wealth and the feelings that go with wealth. The opposite of disease and pain is joy and excitement and enthusiasm for life. Can you dare, when you are diseased, get enthusiastic about your life and get joy-filled with life and watch the cells in your body react and respond to this new attachment, to the excitement and the possibility of vitality? Can you do that? Anyone can do this if they choose. There is no divide. It's just a turn. Turn away.
Thank you. Yes. Releasing that belief within ourselves that says to us that we are limited and that we are this, and recognizing that we are unlimited, and where we place our focus and where we place our energy is where our lives will go. And there are many that have done this. There are many that stand strong in these words, but this is not for you. This is for everyone. And so I challenge you all to do this within your own life, even in a very small way, a very, very small way. Someone at work that might be bothering you and said, oh, that person always bothers me. Shift it and say, I love this person. They're great. They always say positive things about me. And shift it. And every time they come to you, shift it. Say these new words about them. Say it behind their back. Say it in your mind when you're sitting in a meeting, when they walk past you. She loves me. He loves me. He's awesome. Always supports me. And see what happens. Little bits. See what happens. Because you are the manifester of your life. You create.
There is phenomenal joy. They're saying it's really loud inside my head right now to tell you there is phenomenal joy to be had in your experience of being right now. You do not have to wait. You do not have to delay it any further. You can literally choose to be in a state of joy. Even if it were to just jump up and down for a few minutes, waving your arms and laughing and giggling, you will immerse yourself instantaneously in the state of joy.
To that point, again, I challenge you, jump up and down and go woohoo and try to feel bad. You instantly change your state. So if you can change your state that quickly, why not choose to live in that state?
Mm-hmm. And the rest is just habits we've learned.
Yes.
Like these beings, they're with you right now. They're not exclusive to us. Everyone has this connection to these unlimited beings that have no restrictions on what their capabilities are or what yours are. And you have no restrictions. You really don't. None of us have restrictions. But we've been encumbered with ideas that we do. And the minute you start releasing the emotions, and they're saying this really loud in my head right now, tell people you have to release the emotions around the things you no longer want to experience. It has to be done on a feeling level first in order for the physical reality to begin to show up in your material experience. Then you won't be so unhappy about being here. You know?
Make the choice that you don't want to be unhappy anymore. And whatever it is that makes you unhappy, make the choice to change it.
Yes.
And it will change.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
You know, one of the things that I'm fascinated with, they only let come through what they want to let come through, and I allow them to say whatever they need to say. But you can too. Like, you can literally turn inside yourself right now and say, what's the best way for me to release my anger? What's the best way for me to let go of my sorrow? What's the best way for me to experience more joy? What can I do right now? And listen, because they're trying to tell you, if you don't know in your head, if your past experience in your mind doesn't tell you what you need to do, if all you've experienced is pain or suffering or addiction or suffering, and that's all you know. But the minute you listen for something outside of what you know, how can I change things differently? Listen, because there's always an answer. Go for a walk, go out and ground. It's a big thing for us, is going out and grounding, getting connected to the earth, drinking water, like fundamental things you can do to hear better, but always, without exception, they'll answer you. And it could be Jesus, it can be Buddha, it can be the Seers, it can be the Divine Council Light, it can be any one of infinite possible beings that are right here, right now with you, trying to get you to enable yourself to do that which you already know how to do. But as long as you look at yourself through the limited sense of who you've been conditioned to think you are, that's what you keep getting more of the same. But that's not going to happen anymore. This is the time of ascension. They're saying loud and clear, this is the time of ascension when you are bound by your own nature to be unlimited, to be free, to be able to articulate whatever reality you wish at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, your guides, your higher self, your angels, as William was saying, are all around you at all times, and this information does come in. You may not know exactly who it is and whatnot, or even just think it's your own thoughts in your own head. But the key thing is to follow it, and the other key thing is to give yourself evidence. And so again, do little things where you shift how you think about something that's bothering you, and shift it to what you want, and just think it in your mind. And especially, if it's other people, think of it in your mind at them, when you pass them, when you're communicating with them. I really like you. Even if you feel like this person's always out to get me, don't shift it. And let the evidence show you that you are your own creator, and that these aspects of other people that are showing themselves for you is because you yourself are vibrating in that level, and you too are attracting to one another. So shift it and it will go away.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's another 7 days left before we're teaching a class called Mediumship 101 course, where you start to learn to shut this system down in a way that lets you hear guidance and information that's beyond what you know. Because as long as you keep working from what you know, you're only going to get what you know. You're not going to experience anything new.
That's what they say the definition of insanity is,
Doing,
right?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again and
expecting a different result.
Something different, yeah. So you have to shift things. You have to change things. You have to change your mindset, and allowing source to come through, and having this great guidance and wisdom to come forth is like the biggest gift one can give oneself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in our channeling course, which starts next Saturday at 9 a.m. in the morning, we take you on a step-by-step journey where you actually get to interact and sense with energies different than what you know. Mm-hmm. To learn to sense the beings that are around. I mean, we feel them all the time. Mm-hmm. You can actually, if you're very mindful, you might feel them.
You might be feeling them right now, actually. If you tune in, you might be feeling like a pressure at the side of your head. I'm feeling them right here and in here and through in here.
Yeah, I'm feeling tingling coming down into my head, down through my body, and I'm feeling something embracing me from behind, like it's got my hands on my shoulders like this. Mm-hmm. So each person will experience the awareness of these beings that are trying to guide you, and it could even be your higher self, the self of you that knows this is ridiculous. Why am I suffering? What can I do? It could be your higher self that you need to let through to communicate to you. Mm-hmm. But everybody experiences that differently physically. We get into a whole process of teaching you to become sensitive to the energies of these other consciousnesses that are available to all of us,
and then allowing them to come through.
Yeah.
So it starts June 15th. If you're interested, you can contact William.
Yeah, go to my business page right here below the video, or you can go to my website, williammichaelforbescoaching.com, and click on the courses and reading section. You can also send me an email, williammichaelforbes59@gmail.com. You can also get information below this video on my YouTube channel, which will take you directly to links as well. But we'd love to have you here. This is an amazing course we got coming up. We've got some amazing mediums in it. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of high vibrational beings that are all on the same path of freedom and liberation, being free from your past. being enabled to live your full potential. And there are very simple processes to doing that.
Yep. So every single day, pretty much, at different time zones, we'll have one of the mediums come on, whether it's William, whether it's me, whether it's William and I,
Tatiana, or Jill.
Tatiana, Jill. Yeah, there's a
Philomé.
Philomé. Yeah. Who else?
There's a glitch here.
Yeah.
Philomé, Tatiana,
Jill. Yeah. And
Kim, chemistry.
Kim, that's right.
I think that's it. 7.
Yeah. And so each and every day someone will come on, and they'll be doing various different things that will help you in this process and in this journey.
Yeah. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of growth. And if you really engage yourself in it, you're going to be blown away.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, what we're saying here doesn't do what you'll experience justice.
Oh, God, no. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, we got all the information. Thank you for showing up today. Maybe we can take some questions.
Sure.
It just popped in my mind. We can take some questions.
Yes. If anybody has any questions.
Hello, Carol. Hello, Tatiana. Tatiana's here, one of our mediums. Hello, Luna.
Hey.
Hi, Aria. Hi, Ruth.
Awesome.
Carol says, I've been struggling some days with how to get out of low vibe feelings or emotions, wanting to shift but feeling stuck. Thank you. So I'm glad if this information helps you, because the information we get is just unbelievable. I mean, we have so much information on your channel, but the minute you shift your focus, the minute you take your attention off your pain, it starts to diminish. It's just the way it works.
Mm-hmm. I personally had something that happened with me that really brought my focus to a negative place, and there was a feeling of being done wrong. And within that feeling of being done wrong, there was a lot more focus on that negative place. And so I kept, trying to figure out that aspect and why people would behave in certain manners and all of that. And it's a very circular thing in a place that I didn't want to go. And then when I realized that I didn't want to be there, I just didn't want to feel this pain anymore, and was pulled back from it on an emotional level. I was just like, I really, like, at that point where I don't want to feel that feeling. I recognized what was going on there had absolutely nothing to do with me. It had to do with the hook from the other people that were, creating stories or whatever it may be in order to make me feel a certain way. And then when I chose not to feel it, I recognized that's their pain that I was taking on as if it was my own. But it wasn't. It had nothing to do with me. The words were not me. It was them and their pain. And it really gave me an ability to have compassion for them and feel for them where they are in their journey, because I felt it a very painful place. And so I don't know if that is helpful for you, but being able to recognize, often cases, what we're feeling outwardly when people act in a certain manner towards us that make us feel a certain way, it's not ours. Mm-hmm. It's what they're feeling.
I remember when that happened, because as she got deeper and deeper into the frustration of what was occurring, it got more and more frustrating. In fact, the amount of difficulty, the legal rigmarole, all that stuff increased. And then there came a day when you realized it was about their pain.
Yeah.
And that began to realize, I'm just feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And the minute she realized that they were in pain, she moved herself out of pain and into compassion. At that point, everything started to let go. Everything just started to release and heal.
It is like this teeter-totter, the judgment that came onto me created me to be judgmental. And it was just like back and forth. And then when I decided I just didn't want to feel that anymore, it was just whenever I felt this feeling inside that was just like, didn't feel good, I was like, I just don't want to feel that. It made me really recognize again that that's their pain. It's very sad to feel that, to see that pain in other people. And
I have a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
what was the thing that turned it for you? Like when you're in that stuff, like what inside you, what gave you the awareness that something, what caused that shift in your perception? What triggered that shift in your perception from that to the new one? Like what was the, where did that originate?
Well, something occurred that again hooked into my pain, which was the teeter-totter thing. And I could feel inside me this feeling of, you know, the injustice and you know, how dare you? And, you know, let's just get this story straight, and I will communicate to you on that level so I can give back to you what you gave to me. And I just felt this sickness in me, and then I was like, that's what was the trigger, that I was like, this just doesn't feel good. I don't want to, like, I don't want this feeling. So for me to move forward in this manner to say, you know, even like, what are you talking about? That's not even true, is engaging in that energy.
So who was the I there? Who was the I? Who was the I that was able to identify that pain? That suddenly went, wait a minute, this is not who I am. What was that?
Good one. So that I is the I that is I. the my higher self, I guess, my soul that's within me, that has all of that awareness. You know, this is aspects that you will be shown within the course as well, is when we, as I experienced, have those feelings within ourselves, like that gut feeling, or that knowing, but the feelings within our bodies, where does that come from? When you have that feeling, that gut feeling, or that nervous energy, or that, you know, closing off at the chest, where you just feel, where's that come from? What is that? And that's exactly what it is. It is your knowing self, your higher self, who you truly are, saying to you, don't go there. and we'll help show you how to communicate with it, so you can literally talk to yourself, and know, you know, what's going on, and navigate the road ahead.
Yeah, other than going down the same road over and over again, you get to walk down a brand new path.
Yeah.
Of self-discovery, of self-actualization, and of realizing there are beings and dimensions of consciousness so far beyond what you have been conditioned to think is true.
And it's not crazy.
and it's not crazy. That sometimes when you hear people talking to people on the street, that person is actually talking to somebody on the street. There are these dimensions of consciousness where there are your angels, there are your guardian angels, there are ascended beings, you know, and they're ready for you to work with them and live the life you're meant to live.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, just see if there's any other questions that popped up here.
Perfect.
Okay, here we go. Area says, hi, I found that of late I experience intense anger and a feeling of feeling alone and feeling that I don't fit in. You know, I know that feeling very well, Area. Been there. I was standing on a bridge 40 years ago with those same feelings, thinking I was all alone, and then a voice spoke to me out of the nothingness of the what and said, don't jump. So I would offer this to you, Area. When you feel those feelings, ask yourself, what am I really looking for? What am I really looking for outside of it? If I were not in these feelings, if I were not aware of them, what would I be aware of? You'll start to find something different, and you'll have beings that will come in and say, love is who you're trying to be. Joy is what you're seeking. And then you start focusing on those things.
And I would like to say that, again, when I went through that difficult time, there were definitely, it was a long period, so there were definitely times that my energy was very low, my vibrations were very low, because I was focused on things that were not positive, and so I was angry and feeling upset, and I was kind of stuck there. And so what I did was kind of what I was saying earlier about the breadcrumbs that teach you that you are the manifester of your creation, And so I would go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning, and I would repeat, I love myself, and that I'm loved and I am loved. And at points it was kind of numb, but I would just go through it, and I would just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and I'd wake up in the morning and I would repeat it and I would repeat it and I would repeat it, and then things would release. Things started to get softer, and they weren't as hurtful or as harsh as they were before. So again, it is putting those words are really powerful. And again, when I spoke them at first, I didn't feel them at all.
Louise Hay wrote a wonderful book called You Can Heal Your Life. That's a really wonderful tool for that type of process.
Yes.
We'll introduce many other concepts like that into at the end of the course, where you actually get to rewire or incorporate new paradigm thoughts into your system.
Yes, we do. That's the 102. After the 101, right. we go into that.
So Ruth here asks, I woke up with an intense headache, migraine, and vomited. Any wisdom about why I am experiencing this? Wow. It's funny you asked that question, Ruth, because they're telling me right now the main cause of this is anger. They're telling me the main cause of this is anger that you have stored behind you. They're saying it's not that far behind you, and you have to let it go. You have to literally let it go. Let go of the emotions surrounding the symptoms is what they're telling me to tell you. Let go of the emotions surrounding the symptoms, and you'll experience the relief to that which you know to be true for you, away from that which is false. That's what they just told me to tell you.
And I'm also getting that it is the contrast of where you're going and what you're hanging on to. So you are expanding yourself. Your vibrational frequency is lifting and it's getting higher. Yet you're hanging on to this garbage, and the contrast is wanting to purge out of you. So yes, exactly.
Very perfect. Great question, Ruth. Thank you so much. Carol's asking, what is the purpose of so many elders, my mom, experiencing loss of mental reality? I'm so sad, and how can we help them and see our lessons there? Wow, I'm just getting this flood of energies coming right, like a charge of energy coming right in through the back of my neck, down into my heart, to say this, that those who are losing their minds are finding themselves in the only way that they know how to. For the constructs of who they think they are have restricted grossly, and these are the words I'm getting, they're restricted, who they've been taught to think they are grossly restricts the unlimited capabilities that they are, and that does not sustain them. They are not sustained to be who they truly are. If they are able to release conceptions and ideas that restrict their expression, then the physical conditions would begin to ameliorate and be released. But it requires a willing, conscious choice to let go of that which does not serve them any longer, emotionally and mentally. Then relief will come. For there is no restrictions in terms of the divine's capability to manifest changes in any circumstance or situation. It is only the limitations that the individual themselves would choose to hold on to in their own mind as being real or false.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So is there a reason right now I'm getting that with the contrast with ascension happening and everything is speeding up? Is there a reason prior to death, to leaving this world, to release a release a bunch of baggage? And if they're holding on to their construct when they're coming closer to that time, is there a reason as well in that regard?
Well, they're telling me, would you like to sit on the same roller coaster again and again and again and again and again? The answer is no. You would not want to do the same ride over and over and over and over and over again. And they're saying the reason that people will shut down is that soul has not figured out the mechanisms to change the system in which it is, so it leaves to try another ride. And it does not have to continue the ride, but most souls tend to want to get it right and want to come back and manifest that which they're capable of, to know their potentiality. It's not much fun. It's like going to a movie and being disappointed. Mm-hmm. You want to find something that's more fulfilling, so you come back for that fulfillment.
So they're also releasing that in this life,
Yes.
so they don't come back for that ride again next time. So they're not able to resolve it in this physical form in the way that they have been taught to think themselves as, and that they are repeating within their life. So they exit in the now in order to try and see if they can bridge that gap, in order to do a shift here and now, so they don't repeat it in other lifetimes.
It's interesting, when you start to learn how to talk to your higher self, or ask for divine guidance, or ask for your divine team to assist you, there are answers so far beyond what you can immediately conceptualize. But the minute you start to access something different than what you think you know, you will create a different experience. It's really ultimately it's that simple. As you think and feel, so it shall be, and so it is, even at this moment. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Marie is asking, how many of us are on our last ride? I feel I am. At least I'm in 3D. Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, Anne-Marie, is because Norma's often felt that this is her last ride in this material experience. I have not felt that. I felt that I'm coming back. I got a lot of stuff I want to do. But it's really a choice. It really, at a certain point in your process, it becomes a choice where you don't have to be in this dimension anymore. I mean, when a rose blossoms on the bush and the rose falls off, the rose is done. You know, the bush will come back the next year and be more roses. But that's a choice. That rose will never come back in. That form in which you find yourself right now will never be created ever again in all of creation. So in that sense, all of us only have one experience and expression in this realm. But we may come back and experience a different experience of this realm and not know that we had the other experience. Does the rose bush remember the blossoms that fell off last year? I don't think so. It doesn't need to.
So, well, with me, I've known since I was 15. I just knew that I'm not coming back. And then along my journey, I had a medium session way prior to being able to, and the medium told me, this is your last. And so there was confirmation. I was like, I knew that. And then I now know why this is my last. Is ironically what we're talking about is this incident that I was referencing in the past. I've been going along this merry-go-round for, 8 lifetimes. So I was like, I'm done. So we do have choice, and we make choices. We may have made other choices. We may have made a contractual agreement to come back in order to, help with ascension and so on. But the ironic thing is that now that I know, and I've broken free from this circle, and now that I know that the reason why I said I don't want to do this merry-go-round anymore, or come back again, is because I didn't want to do the merry-go-round, and now I'm off the merry-go-round. Maybe I will.
So
it is choice.
Yeah, it is really a choice, because there is a process. Like you look at children in grade school. When they finish grade school, they go to grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3. I believe that when I've learned and maximized my potential here and learned all I can learn here, I will not want to be here anymore. It's like, who wants to ride the same roller coaster again and again? So yeah, it is a free choice at a certain point in the process. In reality, it is free choice all the time. Mm-hmm. They always tell me that this is a free will zone. This is a free will zone.
Yeah. So that's another interesting little point about this being a free will zone. When I was down, I used to always question, why is it that God is not helping me here, because I'm really hurting, and but nobody wants to hurt those nobody wants to help me when I'm hurting. There were times that I really felt like I was alone, and I didn't understand why people didn't care either. Hey, how you doing? I'm great. Oh, wow, that's great. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I don't really feel very good. Oh, okay, see ya.
Yeah.
And so I was always, how come people don't want to help you? And again, it comes back to, and that was very conundrum for me for some period of time. I didn't understand, But the thing is that it is a free will zone, and it's a vibration. And when we raise our vibrations to a high place, we attract the higher selves of all of the other beings out there, because that is essentially what we are. We are that love vibration. And when we see someone in pain, it triggers the illusion, because in truth, that is not real. It's something we give focus to, and something we give energy to, but it is not real. So we get, but it really appears real. But it's only because we create it to be real.
Yep.
And there is an aspect of ourself, of a knowing, that does not want to give energy to that. And anyway, we get more into that in understanding, but it is it's a valid point of knowing that, you know, give yourself love. And if you're at the lowest place or a low place, you know, even if you don't feel it or think it right now, just repeat those words, you know, that I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I am love, I am love.
Well, we'll walk you through that. You won't be stuck on your own. You can do it on your own. It's much harder, but when you're working with people that have a like mind and a like focus, you will grow and evolve a lot faster. That's why you see so many of these metaphysical groups get together, and online groups that are coming up, because people are ascending and awakening really, really rapidly, and we address that thoroughly in our program.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll see you in the course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is a question that just popped up here. Oh, Anne-Marie says, can you tell us of that beautiful painting behind you? Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie.
Well, we actually painted it together with my daughter. So it's
It's the love of the three of us working together.
Yeah.
And this is the result.
Yeah.
But Norma is an artist too. She does other paintings and stuff, and that's fun.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's really simple. It happened. Believe it or not, it actually happened in the kitchen, and we just took a bunch of paints and we got together and we went to town. And this is it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Anyway, I want to say thank you to everybody for showing up. I want to apologize for this not going live on my YouTube channel or the other channels, because I'm still trying to figure out the software behind going live
Technical
through YouTube.
difficulty.
We'll have that sorted out next time.
But we'd love for you guys to join us and come along in this journey. If you're feeling a pull, if you feel like you know you're being pulled towards this, then that's your higher self telling you go in this direction. If you're feeling a pushback, then don't.
And we got some really awesome people that you're going to be meeting in the course too.
Yes.
We're going to be posting this video on my YouTube channel as a video. So if you're there, please like and subscribe to this channel, and hopefully we'll see you in the course and class. We look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, it'll be awesome. Okay.
I think that's it.
Thank you so much for showing up.
Yes, lots of love to you, Tatiana and Anne-Marie, and all much love.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.